Welcome to the Deuce Cast Extra. We are back to talk about the season finale of Moon Knight, the 6th episode, and that is called Gods and Monsters. Everything that I say tonight, I want to preface it at the beginning of this episode and say that I love Marvel and I like this show.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of buts. And by the end of the episode, when we do our rankings, like we said we were going to do.
Yes, which I've got. I did write them down and I've lost that sheet, but I know what they are.
Yeah. I mean, there's only 5 shows to choose from.
Yeah, if you count What If, there's 6, but yeah.
I was going to do I didn't put What If at all,
Yeah.
but I was going to do something really obnoxious.
Uh-huh.
And like break down per episode and like insert them. But I chose not to do that.
Yeah.
What's going on, Ted? Good to see you again, man. Thanks for hanging out. So I just rewatched the episode with my standard closed captioning. And okay, maybe we should talk about the whole series, because I think the whole series was good. I did like the whole series, but for some reason, these last 2 episodes did not connect with me very well.
The last 2, really? How did you not connect with the 5th episode? I mean,
we talked about this last week.
I know, and I don't get it at all.
I know. I don't know.
It's not an indictment on you. I totally get it.
Yeah.
There are times when I walk into a situation and I'm like, I feel really bad that I don't like this thing.
That's kind of me.
I don't like this thing.
Yeah. But I'll say that, like, overall though, the series itself is good.
Yeah.
But it's just the 5th and 6th episode for some reason, and I think it was just because it was so much of, especially in the 5th episode, obviously, it was so much of the afterworld or afterlife, whatever you want to say, and that stuff was kind of, and I didn't dig the Ta'aret character, or Tawi-Ret. I don't know how to say it's her name, but Tawi-Ret. I don't know. I just don't like that character very much, and she's in a lot of episode 5, and she's in a lot of episode 6 as well.
She's in a decent amount. Yeah.
A decent amount, yeah. She's important to the story, because I do like the fact that Layla is her temporary avatar. I thought that was very cool, and I dug it.
Yeah, I thought we could get to that point. I thought it was interesting because I liked that she turned down Khonshu, because she sees the pain and the trouble that Khonshu causes Mark, and knows that she would get trapped in a system like that. And also later on, we get the mention from Khonshu where he says, I never wanted to take his wife. And that, I think, was clearly the case. I said that early on in the show. I think he was lying to Mark until Mark was dead. And then he was like, now I got to find somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that Khonshu turned him down.
Yeah, Khonshu is quite the trickster, though.
Yes.
I mean, he is not to be trusted.
No, and that is very much out of the I guess I would say more recent comics, because there was a question as to whether or not Khonshu even existed very early on in the 80s. Whether that was just mind tricks that Mark would play on himself when his statue was destroyed in the original run. All of a sudden, he felt powerless, but then his partners, like Marlene, who was basically Layla, they pretended that actually they created like a fake statue and destroyed it, basically. And so he found out that, his powers didn't actually necessarily derive from the statue. It was really him. It's a long, complicated thing. Anyway, I'm getting really hot in this jacket.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You got to understand, I came upstairs and it was blasting cold air.
And why would you not want to show off the Dunkirk shirt?
Yeah, exactly. Dunkirk, son.
That's a great shirt. But because the episode's only 44 minutes, I think that we can maybe kind of, which we didn't do much of this particular series, but we can maybe kind of go through the episode, and from the beginning to the end. I mean, obviously, stuff happening at the beginning of the episode. Harrow is kind of obviously getting his way. He gets Amit's statue.
I was
Um,
actually surprised this sequence lasted as long as it did.
right.
I didn't think it overstayed its welcome for me personally, but I
Hmm.
went, this probably could have been over in about 10 minutes instead of the 15 they took,
Right.
and we could have gotten to Mark being back in the world at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and even I was kind of surprised because last week I was certain that Layla was going to be immediately captured, but
Mhm.
I guess Harrow just didn't care about her at that point. Like
No.
after he got what he wanted, he's
Yeah.
like, I don't care what Layla's doing at all, and she can't stop me because of the
It's very much
powers
a
I've
villain
inherited.
thing to
Yeah,
do. It's
exactly.
like
Very much
Mark's
so.
dead. She's not collateral for anything.
Yeah, I mean, and so their whole goal at this point, and I guess this is maybe, the rumors were, and not necessarily rumors, but they're pretty much confirmed that the God Butcher was supposed to be mentioned or make an appearance in the
I think
series.
mentioned, yeah. I don't think they would have done appearance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's true. They got to
Mentioned
save
that
that.
gods were being killed, I think. Yeah.
The gods were being killed. I mean, because there was even mention by, and they never named this particular guy, I don't think, but
Mhm.
how he mentioned that there's not enough avatars left to fight,
Yeah.
basically.
So that was when a bunch of them were getting killed by Amit,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
and Harrow, and
Well, it makes
I
you
think it was
wonder
probably
though.
I think it was probably for best they didn't tie that into Gore, because then you start to confuse people
Right.
on what was happening and all that stuff, and I get why people would want to, but I would rather see Egyptian gods in Thor
Mhm.
than see Gore or really have Gore tie into Moon Knight.
Yeah, yeah, totally. My whole thing with that sequence is I thought that maybe I think we kind of talked about it last week where we established that there's probably way more gods than are portrayed in the show.
Hmm.
And so I'm wondering like if he is mentioning the fact that there are not enough avatars to go around anymore because Gore had been killing some
Hmm.
gods that we didn't know of.
Yeah,
That
there are
that's
also a lot
kind
of
of like
gods
what
that
came
were
to mind.
there are also a lot of gods that have clearly been made into statues as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There
Uh,
was a lot that they'd captured, so for
yeah,
whatever reason. Um so yeah, I mean, Harrow pretty much makes quick work of, and it's interesting because that main guy, I don't think we know who he is the avatar of. Did they ever mention that? The bald guy that tried to start fighting back at one point?
are you talking about like the head of all that? Isn't it
Yeah,
like
the head of all that.
Horus or something? I don't know fully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Anyways,
bad.
it looked like he was about to start using some type of power
Hmm.
because he had like some white orbs or something that he was about to put together,
Hmm.
and Harrow took quick work of him. I mean, Amit's very powerful, obviously. I
Yes.
mean, we're supposed to understand that Amit's very powerful. Now, the scene that I really did like in at that part is Harrow's I guess his openness to
Hmm.
Amit, that he didn't feel like he was worthy
Yes, he didn't
of.
balance his scales.
Exactly, he didn't balance his
I
scales,
like
so
that as well. And then
I thought,
Amit
dude,
went, well, the last time I had someone who had balanced scales, I wound up being captured. So
yeah, Ethan Hawke did so great in that scene. I thought he
yes,
was so good.
yes,
It's just the just
he's
I'm
very good
sure
at
he
playing a cult
used
leader.
yeah, I'm sure he used like some type of stuff to make his eyes red like that, but his
Hmm.
eyes were like bloodshot, and it just looked like every word that was coming out of his mouth was painful. It's like he had this look of pain on his face, and
Yeah,
I thought that was so good. I mean, that's the thing that yeah, I mean that's true, coach. No, and I don't know that they needed to show us that necessarily as far as
yeah,
the it that each avatar, it's clear it does have powers. I mean,
yeah.
because we saw that one guy trying to start to use some powers. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen them fight back a bit more.
Yeah, the end of the day, those guys are so not involved in Moon Knight comics that it's weird. I would wonder what their power levels would be in the comics.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't read all of them, but I've read a lot of more recent stuff and a lot of the older stuff. And yeah, they're not. I mean, Amit's involved a little bit, but again, Khonshu's almost become more of the villain in recent comics.
Yeah.
very much manipulating Mark all the time and messing with his head. So, yeah.
So let's talk. And I know I said we were going to go chronologically, but we jumped around because
It's
I'm
cool.
not good at going chronologically. So let's talk about the Reeds, that part where he's in the afterlife and Mark can just go into and be happy at this point. And man, he certainly was tempted, because I loved that moment where he said it's so quiet, because he's had such torment in his head for so long, that for him to have just peace and quiet for just that second really tempted him to just, end things or continue to end things and go into happiness, basically. But then he thought about Steven and wanted to go rescue Steven in a way, because that's a big part of him. He didn't want to lose that part of him, and he had started to be able to cope with that part of himself.
And they'd learned in episode 5, they started to learn to work together, and we start seeing the culmination of that in this episode as well.
Oh yeah,
especially when they're fighting.
Yeah, that was
because that's something that Steven starts figuring out on the boat, and we see brought up later in episode 6. But
yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, like I said, there was a lot of things I liked about this episode, but overall, I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't quite click with me.
I didn't think the episode tied together for me until we got to the credit scene, and we'll get to that later.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It didn't. I didn't feel satisfied by it until I hit the credit scene, and then I went, okay, and I want to see more, obviously.
Yeah, you have to believe that there's thinking a second season at this point.
Yeah.
Because really we didn't even get to see Crawley do his thing that much.
Well, and yeah, go on.
And I just feel like that's a character that they could use a lot in the second season.
Yeah. All of his supporting characters in the 80s comics, Crawley, Gina, Marlene, who is Layla in this show, all those guys could be used to support Mark and his journey as Moon Knight. But it's really interesting because a lot of the modern stuff have kind of thrown those guys
to the wayside a bit.
I wouldn't say to the wayside. They pay a lot of respect and reverence to the stuff I've read, but those guys have moved on. Frenchie as well. Frenchie's married and retired, and what is his name again? The homeless guy. I just blanked on it.
Crawley,
yeah. Crawley gave himself up to a god, and then Mark rescued him, and I don't know where Gina is now, but Marlene has nothing to do with Mark now in the comics. So it's really, it is interesting. I know some of that's some earlier work that I need to read, but
I'm very
characters are diminished nowadays. So
yeah, I do definitely want to talk quite a bit about that end credit scene, but we'll get there, because I think that it's very intriguing. It's all very intriguing. I do wish we had seen, and maybe it's just too violent for us to see, but I would have loved to have seen Jake in action during the season at some point. But I felt like maybe it was almost a little bit too much tell and not enough show when it comes to Jake. Other than they show the aftermath.
I was about to say, I think the show was the him disassociating and then waking back up and going, "What the heck?
What the heck just happened?" And Layla being like completely shocked. What was that? So obviously everyone around him is seeing what he's doing.
I love that I do love that he turns into Jake, destroys all those people, and Layla is still attached to the car because she's in shock.
That whole part was pretty good, actually.
Yeah. I do want to see Jake action in the future. Yes. And I almost would have liked to have seen it in the finale as well, but
that'd be like a TVMA series or something, like a Daredevil Netflix type.
It probably would, and that's something interesting, because again, the Jake character in the comics was initially not the most violent of the personalities. That was Mark. But now lately, as of the Warren Ellis stuff that I've read, Jake's become a very violent character and breaks people's bones and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they tackle all that. And will he become more mellowed out when he starts working with the other personalities?
Yeah.
Will they even be able to talk to him?
No, it seems like he's so powerful that they don't even know
Well, and also
what's
he
going on.
speaks Spanish.
Yeah, and he speaks Spanish with a name like Jake.
I know. I
Jake
know.
Lockley. I mean, or whatever. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
That's weird.
it is very weird.
So that's
I like
comic
that they
book
went for a
accurate.
different thing. Like I was thinking
Mhm.
it would be like a New York accent or something, but
Yeah.
I like that they didn't go for maybe the easy thing in the New York accent. But
Well, obviously
it
they're
is
using Oscar Allen's talents
well,
of
yeah, he's
being fluent
Guatemalan.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
Guatemalan, being probably fluent for the most part in speaking Spanish. So I mean, they might as well use it. Yeah, this is the movie Roth. This is the other movie. Roth, was this the? And I'm sorry to interrupt. Was
wait,
this the first time for you to watch this, Roth?
yeah.
I'm
Which
thinking it
cut did
must
you
be.
watch?
Oh yeah, see, we didn't give him we didn't communicate and tell him what cut to watch. So we'll see. We'll have to see what he says in the chat. But I was surprised when he said he hadn't seen that before. Or maybe he's just watching it in preparation for the other two guys on his show that hadn't seen it. I don't know.
There's a
But
movie I got to watch this month that I have not watched,
what is
but
that?
it's Top Gun.
You've never seen Top Gun?
I've never seen Top
Um, hmm. It's very 80s,
Gun.
and so
I've
it'll be
heard that.
interesting to see what your take is on that because it is certainly very 80s.
I've
And
heard
it's
that you don't even need to see the new one, and that the new one
no,
is great. So
yeah,
I'm very
yeah.
interested in seeing it. But
Yeah, it's funny because usually for Marvel movies and Star Wars and stuff like that, we always go on Thursdays.
mhm.
Uh well, Rhett was so excited about Top Gun that he's like, "We're going on Thursday." And then
I'm thinking about it too.
and so we bought the Thursday tickets, and then of course AMC does this dumb like fan event Tuesday screening of stuff
Oh,
now, like they did for the Batman, which we did go
yeah,
to that. So and it's not part of their A list, and you pay like $20, and you get like some popcorn thing or something. I don't know. You get like a popcorn or a drink or something.
yeah.
And so I was giving Red a hard time. I was like, "Oh, well, you're not a real fan. We're not going on Tuesday. We're waiting till Thursday."
Mhm.
So that was pretty funny. AMC, their tactics to try and get extra money out of people is annoying sometimes.
Is it still $30 a ticket?
No, I
Because it
think
was for the Batman.
it was for the Batman. I don't think Top Gun. They could
No,
not
no
get
way.
away with charging that for
Yeah,
Top
you can do
Gun.
it for the superhero movies, but not
They
in the
they
event
ex-
films.
yeah, they excluded it from A List, which is their subscription service. So
Yeah,
you can't count it as A List, but I don't think it's the $30. No,
yeah.
that would be ridiculous. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think you need to actually see the original before you see this one. It's not necessary.
I got to see
So
the volleyball scene. Come on.
do you playing with the boys? That's the problem. Like the music, I love the music
Uh-huh.
because I'm in my 40s and I grew up watching that movie. The music, I don't know if somebody your age is going to connect with the music because I mean that's a big part of the movie is the soundtrack. And
Uh-huh.
in the 80s, that was like a thing. The
Yeah.
big part of every
Well,
movie
it
was
was
the
still a part of
soundtrack.
movies in the 2000s. I remember Spider-Man had a soundtrack. Spider-Man 2 had a soundtrack
Yeah, but
that went along, inspired by the movie
they
or
were
whatever.
really bad songs though. They were like
Yeah,
who
yeah,
who
yeah.
was wasn't Nickelback on one of
Yeah,
those soundtracks?
Chad Kroeger. He did Hero. That was
He
like
did
that
Hero.
was a
Yeah.
credit song. Yeah.
No.
That's a good song. No,
No.
Here's a good yeah. No, we'll
I
move on,
don't.
but here's a good
We'll
song.
move on. Yeah. We'll move on. Oh, I did want to mention I loved the song at the beginning. Oh, and I think I erased what it was.
Oh man, I don't remember what it was,
It
but I
it
think I
was like
remember
from the
what you're talking
60s
about.
or something. Oh, here it is. Yeah. By Earl Grant. It's called The
Mm.
End from 1958. But it's a great song. You'll have to look it up. I don't know how to do like StreamYard, or I'd
Mm.
have the song ready queued so you guys could hear it, but you can look it up. It was a cool little song.
They've
Because
had
it
really good musical choices in this show
yeah,
between older charting pop hits and
yeah.
also some really cool Egyptian music in the show as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I think it's been Well, obviously that really ill-fated moment where I tried to play one of the songs on the episode, and I don't know what I'm doing with computers, and so I couldn't figure out an easy way to do it, which there is a very easy way to do it, but I just can't figure that type of stuff out.
Yeah.
And so it was horrible. I like played it off the speaker of my phone into the microphone. Really bad idea. Bad idea.
It's a great outro.
Yeah, it was a great outro. Exactly. So going through some of the episode, Harrow gets the power to pretty much control anybody he wants to. He finds some good souls, apparently. That one army or militia member or whatever.
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, he was like, oh, he has a good soul. He's part of the team now.
Yep.
And then they go and they kill a bunch of people I guess they're in Cairo, is what I would gather, because Khonshu and Moon Knight at one point are talking, and Moon Knight's like, how do we get to Cairo? And then Khonshu's like, I am the god of the night, or whatever he says.
Yeah, and he could whip up wind.
And then we see Moon Knight flying, which was awesome.
Yeah, which is not it's not. I just want to make sure people understand he can't literally fly.
Right.
His cape is being carried by the wind.
Yeah, his cape. They don't explain that though. Yeah, but I mean that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. He can't actually fly. That's good to know.
But Khonshu can aid him in that. Yeah, he glides a lot with his cape in the comics, but
okay.
Not I don't really think the physics actually work out on that.
So he's more like Squirrel Girl. Like a flying squirrel, basically. Just using the wind with his cape.
He's a cooler character.
He's a cool, yeah. I know, I'm just messing with you. I love the character, and I love Oscar Isaac. I just felt like they could have done more with this series than they did.
I think what they wanted to do with this series was basically tell an origin story without telling an origin story. So how do we introduce this character to massive audiences,
right,
in a way that works? Because there have been so many changes to the character in the comics, and what do we pay respect to? What do we leave out? And I think ultimately what they came up with is not perfect.
Right.
It's not my favorite Disney Plus show. But it is one of it's up there for me personally.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But I think they did a good job with what they did. I think it represents the character decently well from what I know Moon Knight to be personally. It's always going to be different.
Yeah.
Anyone who if you watch an adaptation, you can't come in there being like, this isn't just like the book, or this isn't just like the comic, because
that's true. Yeah,
they're always going to make some sort of change. It just has to be true to the characters, to me personally, in terms of who they ultimately are, what values they ultimately hold.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, and the characters are very different in terms of Stephen Grant specifically. But I liked having kind of the goofier character.
I think I think
the 180 between Mark and Stephen really works.
Right. Yeah, they were smart to do that, and Oscar Isaac is talented enough to be able to do, really in this case, 3 different personalities.
Yes.
What's up, Nick? Nick was doing an awesome episode. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Anyways, it with Claire with Claire Stribling, he was doing a really cool. Yeah, exactly. They were doing a podcast of the Wills on episode 1. So yeah, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed what I got to. I enjoyed what I got to hear. Yeah, and Dr. Earl, I don't know where Dr. Earl is. He wasn't with us recording the Deucecast this week, so you won't hear him. And also he's not here tonight, so I don't know why.
Earl-less week.
Yeah, I don't know. He really didn't let me know that he wasn't going to be here. So this is interesting. I don't know if I should be worried about him, or
probably just forgot.
He probably just forgot. He's an old man, and he probably just forgot. No,
he's busy.
He's very he's a real doctor, and so much more important things in his life than this for sure. But to continue kind of down the road we were going. I mean, I think we jumped. Yeah, go
this
ahead.
is an origin show, but it's not exactly an origin movie or show.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but it is trying to introduce this character to modern audiences so that modern audiences can accept this character. He can be in crossovers in the future, and people can't go, this character's, I don't understand this character.
Right.
And possibly get more. Honestly, I'd love to see them get a movie. But that's just me, because I love seeing I'd love to see the character on the big screen personally. But if we get a second season, I'm not going to say no to that.
This is in reference to Close Encounters. It took him a while to answer. Hopefully we're not that delayed. But he said he has seen Close Encounters, but it was a long time ago, and he's only seen part of it.
Didn't answer the cut question, but
he probably doesn't know the cut question. So the whole, I know, dude, such a good movie. One of Rhett's favorite movies as well. The Cell, to jump to that's what I'm afraid of with Miss Marvel. Like, that is a character that personally I'm not interested in. So it's going to be a hard sell for me.
And it's very, very teeny, romancy looking.
Right. So it'll be interesting.
It's very much going for a different if it's going for a younger demographic, first off, like just on its premise.
Yeah, and I think are we only getting 30-minute episodes on that or less?
That's interesting. I don't know. I should know that. I know She-Hulk will be going for
maybe
that kind of thing.
She-Hulk, yeah.
But She-Hulk's also going to have a lot more episodes. So I would imagine this will be around an hour of 45 to whatever, you know.
And that'll be much more tied to events, I think, in the MCU, whereas Moon Knight felt as if it was a standalone show, really. I mean, there was.
I like that a lot.
I do, because it's bold. It's a bold choice to do that because it's so expected for every series to be tied.
Any kind of comic series, and while there will be crossovers occasionally in the comics, a lot of these things are self-contained within their cities, and there'll be mentions of things, but it'll really be stories about those people. And I like getting this expansion of this universe that we're getting right now. And I know that we're getting more supernatural stuff with Michael Giacchino's Werewolf by Night coming soon, whenever that'll be. It's supposed to be a Halloween special, but does that mean this year or next year? I don't know. The fact that they haven't announced it yet makes me feel like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I would love for Moon Knight to show up in that personally.
Yes,
because I think those characters are tied together so much.
That'd be great, because that's where Moon Knight made his first appearance.
Yeah.
But also, Moon Knight was he was envisioned as a very different character at that time. I think one of his original names was going to be like Moonblood, and he was going to be a villain that was trying to take down Werewolf by Night. But then they decided to make him more of a hero so that they could eventually spin him off. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, that would be something that Earl does not like, is the whole anti-hero thing, which is a lot of what like the Sonyverse is doing with a lot of their characters.
I was going to say Moon Knight's not an anti-hero, but I guess Jake Lockley's kind of the anti-hero aspect of the character right now.
Right. So, as far as we know, I mean, as far as we know, that's kind of like the way it is. But yeah. So I don't know. I'd love to hear, like, in the chat, what did you guys think of the series as a whole?
I want to know what Earl thought.
I would have loved to have known what Earl thought about this series. I don't know where he is, though. I have no idea. So I would have loved, because I think he probably is in between you and I, as far as like, and like I said at the beginning, I liked the series overall, but if it had just given me a couple more things, and maybe that episode 5 personally took the wind out of my sails quite a bit. Man, because it was so much of that.
May have been my favorite episode.
So much. Oh, okay. I'm seeing that, Nick. All right. Let's see here. Let me see if I can figure this out real quick. Yeah.
We're going to do our rankings now.
Oh, yeah, because I think Nick wanted to talk about that. Let me see if I can get this working. All right. So we'll see if Nick can jump on. I don't know. I think he's like, Something pretentious. Yes, exactly, Ted. So Dr. Earl would be saying something pretentious right now.
Yes.
That is no Roth. Look, okay, so we might do that next week, because I think what we're going to do next week is a Doctor Strange conversation. So we might have a bunch of people on next week.
I have lots of thoughts.
Yeah, we'll see. So I think that we're going to do that next week instead of waiting 2 weeks on that. I think it's appropriate to go ahead and get that knocked out, and then we can talk about Book of Boba Fett. And I'm assuming Assembled on Moon Knight is coming out Tuesday, or I mean,
should be coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, Wednesday. That's what.
Yeah. If it
they
does,
never,
if that's
they never
correct.
advertise stuff.
They don't.
They just don't.
And the problem is I have to trust these sites that I don't really like trusting, and they like get it right 90% of the time, but then there's still that 10% where I'm like, oh.
Here we go. Is your microphone going to be working?
God, I hope my microphone is.
Nick from Podcast of the Wills, welcome, sir.
Coach, I think you need to, especially in this series, I think you need to understand that Mark is Moon Knight. Like they're one and the same, basically. And I know that people want to see the suit more. I get that, but this is, again, it was more an exploration of the character than it was a fighty, punchy.
And I'm with, like, there is part of me that wishes we would have seen the suit more. Like I'm kind of like with Coach in that it would have been nice. Like 6 episodes just didn't feel like enough time. It's almost like they rushed some of it to get it done, but I don't know.
I honestly think they could have condensed it down to a movie, and it may have been even better. But
I'm with you. So Nick, I mean, what were your overall thoughts? I mean, I'm more of the, I liked the show, but I didn't love it. I think Ryfin liked it a bit more than I did. Where are you standing on it?
Probably more in your camp. I think that, and I made the comment, I think last week when you guys were on, about, for a show that's called Moon Knight, we've seen very little of the Moon Knight, the costume, what Coach was saying.
Yeah.
And I know that we kind of, you guys teased last week because of that last episode trailer, there was going to be more of that kind of stuff. I liked it. I actually really liked it because I like, the mental health aspect of it. That's something that's an important part of, my life, my story.
Yeah.
People that I'm very close to have, issues that relate to that. So I love the way that was treated, dealt with. But I think I said this to you at some point, Mikey may fine. Actually, no, I said it when we were still talking about Book of Boba leading into Moon. I have zero previous connection with Moon Knight. I didn't want to look it up. I didn't read it. Either, I didn't I knew nothing about it. I was fully prepared to just receive it as it came to me as a TV show. Because I did. I enjoyed it, and I would have loved the costume because it's a cool costume. Like, it looks cool.
And it is awesome. Yeah.
But I was not. There was no part of me that was disappointed. There was no part of me that was like, I don't know how good. Like, it was great. Like, I love the dynamic. Oscar Isaac, like,
oh man,
his work that he did in this episode. I think he needs to be nominated for an Emmy. I really do.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Yeah, I really did. I don't have any like, I wish we got whatever, or, every week after watching you guys, like, well, crap, I need to figure out who Jake is. I need to figure out who, whoever it is. But I really did like it. And I do think that I'm more in your camp, Mikey, maybe some more so than Ryfin, but like, it was just good. I enjoyed it. It was a good, good hang, and on to the next thing. And I hope we get more. Collect what I got.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are going to give people recommendations to read, after the series. And a lot of people have said Moon Knight 2014 by Warren Ellis and the Moon Knight 2016 series by Jeff Lemire. And those are 100% the 2 series I would tell you to read if you ever wanted to read Moon Knight comics that are closer to the show than anything.
Sure.
And I think you guys would enjoy those, but they're also very quick reads.
Yeah, I need to commit to that because I'm having a really hard time keeping up with Star Wars books, and I feel like I'm just about to kick that to the curb.
Mikey, I look as a
my struggle right now
as a lifelong comic book reader. It is insane. To this day I am saying I need to finish Moon Knight, but also we got all the Secret Wars stuff popping up in the MCU, and I want to read the recent Secret Wars stuff, the 2015 Secret Wars stuff. and I want to read all these old DC events that I haven't read, and the new DC events that I'm currently reading, and the current Flash, and some of the older Flash I haven't gotten. It becomes too much.
It's
And
never
right now
ending.
I'm just going, no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm watching Rebels.
There you go. And that's a good watch. Yeah, he's watching Rebels for the first time.
This is breaking news, because this has been my platform was to get Ryfin to watch Rebels.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm on season 2 right now. So
we're gonna do a podcast of the Wills Ryfin Rebels episode when you get done. I'm calling it right now.
A special edition.
Be done
for
before
Patreon
Kenobi.
only.
but also Star Wars. Oh, Ross.
There's a lot of that going on. Everybody's watching Rebels. Maybe I need to watch Rebels again.
It's fantastic. I mean, I've said for a long time, Star Wars Rebels is my favorite Disney Star Wars property. I know this isn't a Star Wars show, and I just lucked out to get to be here because I'm still hanging out in my studio. But you said about books, Mikey, and I wanted to come back to that because it does connect to comics and that kind of stuff. High Republic, nothing. I haven't even gotten close to starting. Like, I know at some point I will way down the line. I am very intrigued, and it dropped today. Mike Chen's Brotherhood.
I do want to read that.
and Anakin book. I do want to read that. But beyond that, and like the comic books, and it's just, this was really refreshing to me tonight to be able to literally take it was given to me as a TV show. These episodes, because I don't have investment in it, and even with stuff we've got coming up, I know we've got America in Multiverse of Madness, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm coming soon. But also going beyond that, being able to just consume the media that's presented to me, like it helped my enjoyment. Now it does make me curious, like Ryfin said, to look up these other things after the fact. But if I had done it before, I probably would have been more predisposition to go, I don't really like this.
It's like when I when I was growing up, I read like the first 3 Harry Potter books, and then I stopped, and then I read the 7th book. No, it's skipping. But don't worry, Nick. We understand.
We understand what you're saying, Nick.
What you're saying.
But it is doing what it was doing when you had Claire on. Poor Nick. This is horrible.
I will get on that, but I'll watch the Showtime show. Lakers.
Oh, the Lakers thing, Ted, dude. I loved that series, but we're not talking about that right now. But I loved that series. That was so awesome. I have a tough time
starting shows especially. I just don't want to start something that's going to disappoint me. But
no, it won't. It is so good. I mean, there's embellishments because it's Adam McKay and it's a TV show. I mean, there has to be embellishments, but it was good. It was really good. Nick, I'm sorry about your microphone. I don't know what's going on with it.
We can understand what you're saying.
It's your microphone is basically doing Rise of Skywalker, skipping.
Light speed skipping.
And here's the question, and now we're just going to do tech support in the middle of your show.
I don't know how to do tech support.
Mike, does it sound normal? Does it sound weird to the other people, or does it sound weird to y'all too?
It sounds weird to everyone.
All of us.
Everyone.
That's not the answer I wanted.
It's that. Yes. No,
it's just skipping. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's got to be something. It
literally sounds like
wire.
A disc that has a scratch on it. Like a CD.
It could be just your wire on your microphone. Who knows? I mean,
that's the first thing I thought of, Mikey, is a wire. But I'm not an expert, so
you're talking to the wrong people when it comes. I can barely, like, we were joking around earlier when I attempted to have the song that was in the 3rd episode, I believe.
Yeah.
I held my phone up to the microphone and played the song as the outro.
I could have gotten you a better copy of that.
I don't know what I'm doing at all with any of this. So I mean, anyways. Where are we? I don't.
I've ruined everything.
No, cool.
You have, dude. No, we understood 95% of what you said.
In the episode, I really enjoyed the kaiju fighting between Amit and.
Okay, let's talk about the kaiju fighting.
No, I loved it.
I thought it was good,
Yeah.
but it didn't look great. It like the
thought it looked
CG. I don't know.
Here's the thing. So I am much less harsh on the shows than I am the movies because they get
no, that's
less
fair.
budget
That's totally fair.
over longer period of time to do these things. So they're tackling and they probably should storyboard less CG stuff.
Right.
But you know, it's always going to look worse than and especially nowadays they've got all these things in the pipeline that those CG houses are being like worked to death on getting stuff out on time.
Dude, and I feel for them because they are probably being worked to the death.
They literally are.
And they probably don't get paid enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's Roth. That's an interesting ranking.
I have my rankings
very close. To mine.
Moon Knight that low? Get out of
very
here,
close, dude. I'm sorry. That's very close to mine. That's very close to mine. Ryfan's not happy. Ryfan is not happy right now. And that's just it's like the reverse of recency bias.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Moon Knight is so fresh in my mind that I'm thinking. Well, we'll go over the rankings here in a minute. Let's try and finish through the episode. Let's go ahead. I think we've talked about the episode enough. In all honesty, not much happened in the episode.
Well, I told you guys that not a ton was gonna happen.
Yeah, no, you did.
All they had to do was defeat Harrow.
Yeah,
get back to life and defeat Harrow.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. I did like the idea that we got to see Amit and Khonshu doing some fighting. I did like that. I did. I also loved the fact that he just woke up in his bed again at the end. Yes. Yeah, that was good.
And again, it took the credit scene to tie it all together for me personally. Right. But when he wakes up back at his bed again and he thinks he's totally free, I'm like, I knew immediately. I was like, he is not free at all. Khonshu would never let that man go.
No, and that's why I'm saying like he's a bit of a trickster because he said, "Oh, sure, Steven and Mark, I'll let you guys go. Yeah. But Jake, no, that's the guy I want around."
Yes.
And let's go ahead and talk about the end credit scene because I think that we're already at 42 minutes. We're about to be longer than the episode was. But very interesting things said in that limo from Khonshu is that Mark is much more disturbed than he even realizes. And I don't know if he used the word disturbed. He used some word similar to that, though. He might have said messed up, but I don't think that's what Khonshu would say. That's why I'm thinking like disturbed or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because Khonshu obviously all along knew about Jake.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because Jake has been basically his personal hitman.
Yeah.
Mark is the adventurer. What?
No, I was looking. No. Go ahead. I was looking at. I was confused by Roth's scores.
Mark is the adventurer. Jake is kind of the hitman, which is interesting because Mark was definitely more the hitman at first in the comics. And Steven, who is the playboy in the comics, is the idiot he doesn't want out. It's basically it.
Right. And so they've changed it a bit. I mean, where they're not even. It doesn't even look like they're going to do the playboy aspect of things.
No, although he's got the Spectre car.
That was cool,
which is straight out of the 2014 comic book, the Warren Ellis
license
comic.
Plate. Yeah.
In the car, in the comics, it's a self-driving car. He sits in the back seat.
Oh.
And kind of has all these things. It's almost very Batman, but. Moon Knight gets unfairly compared to Batman, I think sometimes, but he also does. It's also not without merit as a guy who wrote Batman, wrote Moon Knight at first, and came up with things like the moon copter and the crescent moon darts, and the I mean, it's very Batman.
Shark spray,
Yeah. Yeah. So, what you obviously had a lot that you wanted to say about that end credit scene, Ryfan. I mean. Anything that you wanted to touch on?
So I mean, as soon
as
you
said it tied it all together for you, really.
When they showed Jake finally, because leaving you off, if they had just cut that episode off, I probably would have been a little mad because it was another instance of the third personality coming out, and then we get no explanation. I love the Jake reveal. Khonshu sitting in a suit, which was great in the car.
He looked sharp.
Talking to Harrow. which I thought was also great.
Yeah,
The last time they get to talk together, and then pulling out Jake, who speaks Spanish all of a sudden.
Yes, I loved that. That was so good.
And then just boom, silencer.
Silencer. Dead. Yep, exactly. Oh yeah. I mean that end credit scene helped to not make it totally like a worthless series for me. It's not worthless because Oscar Isaac is so good in it, and that can't be denied. But I don't know if I connected with the character of Moon Knight just yet. But I am excited because of that end credit scene. I'm excited for a second season
for the future of the character.
Yeah, for the future. Or if they don't give us a second season, for the future of the character for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, Ted. I don't read enough comics to.
I'm going to disagree with Ted, but
yeah, I mean,
but I started collecting comics in. I can tell you the first comic I bought, Flash 221. So I have to disagree. No, I just know my first comic I bought was Flash 221, which is the second chapter of Rogue War, which is a huge event. It was 2005, written by Jeff Johns.
See, I've heard Jeff Johns is a great writer.
Jeff Johns wrote some fantastic comic books after the year 2000 for me. The Flash specifically. So I just have to disagree on that point. But
he's joking mostly, is what Ted said.
I know what he means. I get the sentiment that.
Oh yeah. I mean, it sounds like something that your dad would say. I mean, there's no good comics before 2000.
I mean, I think post 2000. I think post 2010, DC went really downhill, and then they came back up in 2016, and then they went. Anyway, I have a favorite character that they've done dirty a lot, and they're finally starting to make amends right now. So,
all right, let's do our lists. Nick, I'll let you go first, if we can understand what you're saying. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
It's too soon. Too soon.
I know.
All right, number one is Loki. Rhett surprised last week out. And said that it was going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier. Loki, my number one. Falcon and Winter Soldier is my number two.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot that I love in that, and most of it has to do with, and now I'm blanking on his name, the older guy, the earlier,
the earlier Captain America. Well, not Captain America, but Power guy. Yeah.
Right. Like I love. I'm a representation guy. I mean, there's no secret of the way they did those storylines. So Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision is my three. I did enjoy that. I love, and maybe even more from a filmmaking, with Marvel version of the assembled episode of that where they talk about the sitcom and every episode different genre. Like I love that kind of stuff.
That whole
so Wanda was 3,
kicked off
Moon
phase
Knight,
4.
Yes, Moon Knight is my 4.
Okay.
I really did enjoy Moon Knight, especially for something I had literally zero connection. Like I didn't know Moon Knight. I didn't know anything about it. Hawkeye is my 5, and What If is my 6. And honestly, What If and Hawkeye could flip, but I feel like I was more tuned into Hawkeye for whatever reason. What If at moments I was watching it while things were going on and I got distracted. It didn't hold my attention quite as much. So,
Hawkeye, I mean, Hawkeye's got Haley Steinfeld and it's got Vincent D'Onofrio, and so those are two great things already. That are above What If for me.
And that's fair. Totally fair.
You're getting some Macquarie art love from Roth there.
Dedicated Macquarie guy.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Because
we saved the best for last here.
Of course, that's what we're gonna do. We're age before beauty. Let's see here. Loki is probably my number 1. I love the writing. Waldron, I love it.
I'm a Waldron apologist, and we'll get to that next week.
I think that guy is quietly brilliant. And people aren't giving him his due. The guy
you mean the Michael Waldron, who is rumored to be writing the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie.
Not even rumored.
He tweeted that out that he was working on that today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a rumor no more.
Rumor confirmed.
Yeah, rumor confirmed. So that whether that movie actually makes it to the screen,
Yeah, I know.
The fact that Waldron's getting to write a Star Wars movie is pretty awesome.
So many live action Star Wars movies that get announced.
Dude, so many. I actually, in thinking about this list,
Okay,
WandaVision I loved, and so I put that at number 2. I think that's a great show. I think that the emotional depth of that show is like heavy.
Yes.
And so I really, really love that. All the stuff between Viz, as she calls him, and Wanda is just so good. Because of my Shane Black love, I know he had nothing to do with the show, but it felt like it was a Shane Black show, and that's Hawkeye is my number 3.
Okay.
These two could be completely interchangeable. And so I'm not saying that Moon Knight is last. It on any given day I could flip these, but I've got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier written down as my number 4, and I've got Moon Knight as my number 5. I know that breaks your heart, Ryfin, or makes you angry. It's either breaks your heart or makes you angry. I don't know. And then I was telling Ryfin earlier, What If is an interesting show because I think I could probably rank episodes of What If higher than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then some of the episodes lower. And so like
it was so wildly inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was very wildly inconsistent, and the stories were different. I mean, so
the Lord T'Challa episode moves way up compared to some of the Party Thor. Didn't care.
I didn't care about Party Thor.
Party Thor was a waste of time.
Yeah,
they were just setting up the character for later. It was
right.
Yeah, and as much fun as the zombie episode was, I could care less about the zombie.
Yeah, it was fine.
Still didn't care.
The Doctor Strange episode to me, though. Anyway,
that's the pinnacle. Yeah, the Doctor Strange and the last episode are good. The last episode
I loved episode 8. I didn't love episode 9 as much as 8.
Oh, maybe it's 8 that I liked. I don't know.
I think you did love episode 9.
Whichever one was heavily involved with Ultron.
That was 8.
That was 8. Okay.
Yeah.
What was 9 then?
9 was them fighting Ultron.
Okay, so it was almost like a combo, like the 8 and the 9. Yeah.
Yeah, they're basically almost a two-parter.
Yeah. So, anyways, that being said, I mean, I could flip the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Moon Knight. I mean, they're both really good as far as acting performances are concerned. I don't know if Anthony Mackie is going to really work as Captain America. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for that movie to actually get made because they said it's going to get made.
Right.
But I just don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't seen enough of him as Captain America. Love him as Hawkeye, but
Falcon.
I knew it was a bird. I knew it was a bird, right?
One of the cardinal.
Sorry, my microphone glitched.
Too soon.
my bad. So yeah. All right, Ryfin. Okay. I've been making you wait enough. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, to me, the pinnacle of the Disney Plus shows, and this is just me personally, is also Loki at number 1.
Okay. All right.
Michael Waldron is, in my opinion, the best writer that's come through the MCU in recent years. I think he was given a very tough task with Multiverse of Madness, and I don't think it's all his fault for the faults that it has, in my opinion. But he is leaving the show in the hands for season 2 of one of his writers. I can't remember, Eric something.
We'll
talk about it when we get to it. I think the show is in very good hands. Is this like Dave's rankings he's putting individually in the chat?
Like individually, like he doesn't know how to use YouTube
one message at a
or
time.
Something. He's just like one at a time. Like I'm gonna.
I love that Dave's here.
Yeah, it's nice that he's here, but learn how to use YouTube.
Eric Abana? Wait, what? How did this get?
I don't know.
Loki, it's like the American Doctor Who that I've almost always wanted, and since I haven't watched Doctor Who since
that's a good comparison.
Since Capaldi's first season, which I was just like so turned off by him as the Doctor, it was a great return to that type of sci-fi. that I've really always kind of wanted. It was high concept sci-fi as well. I've always wanted a show that went there and pushed the boundaries, and also to this day, the best finale in the MCU. I know there are some people who don't like it because it's very talky, as Owen Wilson says in the show.
Yeah. Dave's blaming YouTube, which is maybe that's what Nick should do. Blame YouTube.
But I'm sorry, what Jonathan Majors chewed that episode.
Yeah.
He stole that episode. It was
he did.
Jonathan Majors for president.
Dude, he was so good in that.
He is so. I cannot wait to see him as Kang, because it's going to be. We're
Different.
probably going to get a few different Kangs over time,
right.
and they're probably all going to be played differently. And I really am excited to see how he takes that on as an actor.
Me too.
Number 2 for me is Moon Knight, and that is probably a bit of character bias and recency bias.
Interesting.
But I really love the show.
Okay.
I think Oscar Isaac deserves an Emmy for this show. Anything else about the show? It really is carried by Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. And if you don't have those two guys there,
I was afraid Ethan Hawke was going to kind of phone this in. Like I shouldn't have been, and I think I said that at some point during this. He delivers like it's so good.
I'm glad they met in that coffee shop, because that's how he got the job.
Yes, totally. And it really felt like Benson and Moorhead, or whoever like the head of the show was, let him kind of do what he wanted to, like, or at least took his input into the character.
Well, it's interesting because I saw an interview with him where Diab was actually going to do a movie with him, and then the movie got canceled because he went to go do Moon Knight, and Ethan Hawke was like, well, I can't fault you for that. Go take on the Marvel project.
Yeah.
And then he meets up with Oscar Isaac, and Oscar Isaac asks him to do Moon Knight, and then so I think he already had a good relationship with Diab coming up to that, and I think the director runs the show pretty much. Benson and Moorhead do 2 episodes, and Jeremy Slater's the head writer, but I think again the directors have more input in Marvel shows than normal shows.
Yeah.
So
well, that's I mean, that's very, very similar to I think we can say the Star Wars shows too. I think the directors are very involved. Much more than like the writer's room. I think the directors, I mean,
writers are like Jon Favreau.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Deborah Chow, I think she is very much involved, maybe not on the writing side, but I think Obi-Wan is her vision. I think we're really going to see her vision on the screen.
She directed, I think she did 2 episodes of Mandalorian, right?
Yes.
2.
And both were excellent.
Yeah. I'm so ready for Obi-Wan.
Yes, correct.
My number 3, sorry, let me move on to my list.
You're fine.
So 1 is Loki, 2 is Moon Knight, 3 is WandaVision for me. That is the film that brought us all back to the MCU a year and a half away from being in the MCU. And it was a cultural phenomenon.
Really was.
Everyone was talking about it online. We all wanted to know what the mystery was. I never bought into Mephisto, but I did buy into a multiverse Pietro.
It was so fun, though, talking about Mephisto.
The people who got really upset about that really annoyed me, because it was all about the guessing and the journey and the coming up with your ideas. I don't think
that WandaVision was as much a cultural phenomenon as like Baby Yoda was, but my wife, who has not seen one MCU film, she watched Spider-Man. That's the only MCU, the most recent Spider-Man is the only MCU movie she's ever seen, but she loved WandaVision. Didn't know anything about the character. She was able to watch that show and really enjoy it, and was really invested in it without having seen any of the other stuff.
That's the way those things should be, honestly, especially the TV shows.
Yeah, they should. I mean, it's
tough. I think most of them work that way. I mean, I think maybe only Falcon and the Winter Soldier to me has maybe the most context behind it. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll get
Jacob, I can't. This is too much to even delve into right now. That would take an hour for us to talk about that, Jacob. So we're not gonna.
WandaVision, excellent show. The finale is the weakest part of the show. If the finale was not as weak as it was, it passes Moon Knight to me. it leads into Multiverse of Madness, obviously, sets up some very obvious things, which for some reason people didn't see coming.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll
I
get
don't
to
know
that
why.
next week.
Yeah, that was weird. That whole conversation is going to be fun.
Especially when Jack Schaefer, the writer of the show, is great friends with Michael Waldron, and they both like worked on her arc for this Multiverse of Madness script. But anyway,
exactly.
Number 4 for me is Hawkeye. That show is not the greatest. It's just a lot of fun. It's not the greatest thing ever.
It is fun. Yeah.
It's just fun. Haley Steinfeld knocks it out of the park with her new character as Kate Bishop. The bros are a lot of fun.
Yes, they are.
Vincent D'Onofrio actually being in the show, as he was rumored to be in the show, was just, it was great to see him back. And to then, not even like months later, they get the Netflix shows on Disney Plus now. So they are, closer to canon than some people had previously thought they were. And I know there's been questions about that kind of stuff, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Netflix shows, whether or not they're true canon or not, Anyway, Hawkeye, just a lot of fun. Number 5, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now this, you mentioned Hawkeye was a Shane Black show. To me, Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been a Shane Black show.
You think they should have made it more like a buddy cop?
Yes, and that's the way they advertised the show, was as a buddy cop show. So it was very, and I know that they went in a different direction. I just wish they advertised it differently, because I came in with this feeling of like, it's going to be those two just going at it. And,
yeah, that's true. I forgot that's kind of the way they advertised that.
Yeah, and then you get into it, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's a very deep show.
It is. Yeah.
But I don't know. I still felt betrayed by the advertising, and also personally, I think Sharon Carter's arc is one of the worst in the MCU. Why
does everybody hate Sharon Carter so much?
I don't hate Sharon Carter. I hate what they did to her.
Okay, I believe. Okay,
like,
I feel that.
I understand. Okay, so she feels betrayed by her country. I don't know. So much happens off screen for her character that I just her to just completely be this villain, that I was like, and it was so obvious from episode 3 on.
Yeah,
that bugged me a little bit as well, because it was like, oh, who is the power broker? Well, it seems like it's Sharon, but I don't want it to be Sharon.
Yeah. That was kind of a reach, I think.
Yeah, my face is the worst of the MCU. They're gonna have to pay off her arc. I mean, they set it up to like, she got cleared by the country. She's in the country.
Yeah. They're gonna have to do something with that. But
the other thing that bothered me a little bit in the show is that the end of Endgame establishes that he gets the shield, and he's taking on the shield because Cap is telling him to take on the shield.
Yes.
And then in the beginning of the show, he has kind of a crisis with wanting to take on the shield, and I get it, like that's a real thing, but
sure,
I just wanted to move past that and him be Captain America, And they wanted to build up this story and I didn't get this until they were doing it in the show, but they wanted to build up the story of truth and all this other stuff. But no, okay.
I'm not putting it.
I don't even know what he's talking
the role of Rhett this evening.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not putting any of his stuff in.
I think Sharon Carter gets paid off in Cap 4, though, when they eventually do that. And I do feel like they'll do that. Although I wish they weren't bringing in the writer from the show, because I feel like they could get a better
that what
guy.
they're doing?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I almost would love to see Marcus and McFeely, who did the first 3 Captain America films, doing the 4th one. But
that'd be cool. Well, I think that's
6 was What If, but yeah.
Yeah,
I love the Doctor Strange episode.
There's going to be a season 2 of What If. We're going to get a season 2. I mean, it's gonna happen at some point. So
Star Wars, again, I continue to say this to this day. Star Wars Visions did what If should have done.
I agree.
Yes.
100%. 100%. You can say that again, Nick.
Yes, absolutely.
He didn't do it that time. He didn't start.
That was weird. Yeah, it didn't skip the second time he did it. That's really strange. Oh man. Well, this was fun, Nick. Thanks for jumping in for a little bit and filling in the role of Dr. Earl. We will call you Dr. Nick for this evening. Isn't that a character on The Simpsons? No, what's the doctor's name on The Simpsons? I can't remember. I haven't watched that show in so long. So we will be back next week. We don't have Obi-Wan just yet.
Nick.
It is Dr. Nick?
Yeah.
I got that right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I just looked up Dr. Nick and it came up with the Simpsons character.
That is hilarious. I can't believe I got that right. So we're going to go ahead and do our Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness episode next Tuesday. That will give the few people that haven't had a chance to see it, Nick, to hopefully go see it between now and Tuesday. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to make the effort. It's worth seeing. You know, you going to go with any of the kids? The older ones, maybe?
The twins 14 on Sunday, so that may be a birthday weekend celebrations is taking them.
Awesome. That's hopefully they will like it. It's a little bit like I know for my 11-year-old, she hasn't seen any like horror movies other than like Goosebumps. That's about as like, and so this is going to be a little, it's almost a little much, but I'm going to test the waters and see if we can do
Look,
it. I mean,
if you guys were watching Poltergeist at a young age, I mean, there's a guy who rips his face off.
Well, we could have a long conversation like I was like, I think in the 80s, I don't know. My wife is very protective of what the girls see. So we'll have to, although we just watched all the Harry Potter films, and there's certainly some scary moments in those.
Yeah.
So, maybe they can handle
There's some really weird stuff with this.
There is some really weird stuff in Multiverse of Madness.
Some of it's awesome, but some of it's, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do that next Tuesday just to bridge the gap between now and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, they're doing 2 episodes on the 27th?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be like a 4-hour.
And then you've got
extra.
Stranger Things dropping that day as well. And then I know we're not covering that, but yeah.
No, we're not going to cover Stranger Things. Although I'm very excited for it. We're not going to cover it because Netflix doesn't really allow for that very well.
Yeah,
because they dump everything. Well, in this case,
they
I
are
guess
doing 2 parts now.
2 parts now. I guess we could theoretically try that, but nah, we're not. We haven't done that before, so we're not going to do it. Again, Nick, plug your stuff, Nick. Thanks so much for stopping in for a little bit.
I'm glad to get to. You're not going to hear me because apparently my microphone is garbage.
No,
Podcast of the Wills everywhere you can find things at Wills Pod or at ATG Cast.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. And Nick is, and I'm so jealous and experiencing a lot of FOMO. Is that what it is? Yes, because he's going to Celebration, and I'm extremely jealous. I wasn't planning on going anyway, so I guess I shouldn't be real jealous, but I am. I mean, 2 weeks. Yeah. 2
weeks from literally right now, I will be in the air on my way to LA.
Oh, so you're getting that? You're touching down on Wednesday or Tuesday? I guess
I'm touching mid red eye. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing a red eye. They still do that? They still do red eyes? I didn't know that. Interesting.
Wes Craven movie's great.
Red Eye. Oh man, my brother-in-law hates that movie.
It's not great. It's got Cillian Murphy in it. But
It does have Cillian Murphy in it. Ryfin, where can people find you on the internet?
I made the mistake of reading Dave's comment and was just laughing for a second there. Sorry. You can find me on Twitter at SEP. No. Sorry. Actually, I changed it. You can find me on Twitter at GRyfin3. Also on Instagram if you wanted to. I don't really post there. You can find me on Letterboxd at GRyfin. You can find me on the Deucecast Discord, not Discord. And that is about it for me.
Yep.
I'll maybe do a podcast next semester because I can actually apparently do that for my final project. Anyway,
you're going to do
that would be very educational.
I would love to hear a Garrison Ryfin podcast.
Oh yeah,
I would. The Criterion Cast.
Well, it's got to be something that works with my degree.
Oh,
okay. Jacob just followed me on Instagram.
Jacob just followed you. That's very quick, Jacob.
Yes, it was.
It's a little disturbing. I am at the Michael Nip on Twitter. That's pretty much where I am. I'm mostly in the Deucecast Discord because I feel safe there. It's like a little cocoon of happiness. Twitter is like outside of the cocoon and it's dangerous. So I like to be in the cocoon of happiness, which is Discord. And so that's usually where I hang out. I'm on Letterboxd, but barely this year. I've seen 90 movies. It's not like I'm not watching stuff.
I've only seen like 40.
Yeah. So I'm still hitting it pretty hard, but not like last year. Last year was the first and last time I'll ever do that. 365 and beyond. Like I said, we'll be back next Tuesday. Appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat. It really does make it much more fun for us when people are hanging out in the chat. So I appreciate Ted, Coach, Roth, Dave. I don't think I missed anybody. I think that was about it this week. Dr. Earl, I guess maybe if you're the praying type, lift up a prayer. I don't know where he is. I never heard from him. I think the guy just fell asleep on his couch and forgot it was Tuesday.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I have
seen him start to doze off on Yellowstone conversations.
Dude, he is burning the candles at both ends. So I'm glad that he joined us for episodes 1 through 5.
Yes,
but didn't make the finale.
Maybe we can ask him next week.
Yeah, maybe we'll ask him next week what he thought about the series. So other than that, appreciate everybody hanging out again, and we will be back next Tuesday for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Peace out, everybody. Yeah.